All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Mukakadash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and my elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well and teaching us the truth, 100% securely. And I'd like to give a salutation to the men out there on the highways and byways, pushing the truth throughout the four corners of the earth. And also, I'd like to give a salutation to the Akim and Aqua who are listening and studying to show thyself approved. This is Brother Bayon from the Tulsa, Oklahoma Hebrew Israelite Camp, coming back to you with another quick lesson. And I'm going to title this lesson, The Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua also has sleeper cells. The Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua also has sleeper cells. And there's been this uproar and talk about sleeper cells here in America, but Yahweh Shem Yahushua also has sleeper cells. And I was thinking about this about a couple of weeks ago, and it was a spirit, and one of the GMS brothers also just did a lesson on this, and I was like, man, that's the spirit. That's the spirit. Because I was just thinking about this like a couple of days ago, but this is coming from an article. My Bahayar put in a group chat. Okay, and we'll go ahead and read this article, and we'll get into the scriptures, Lord willing, this will be edifying. Okay, and it says, sleeper cells bringing war to America is a reality, security experts say. And right now, as we speak, America is pretty much losing this war, but the media is going to show otherwise. Okay, and that's in a quick precept, which is it's a lot of precepts you can bring up with that, like never trust thy enemies. Okay, thy enemies is the ones that controlling the media, so you can't trust what they say, right? And so anytime they say that we're winning this war or the war is about to be over, believe it not. And another reason why you shouldn't believe it is because it's prophecy. Okay, you cannot stop prophecy, right? Trying to stop prophecy is like trying to stop a flood from flowing through your city. It's not possible. Okay, and that's what these devils is trying to attempt to do. But this is a part of their devices. This is prophecies, and it's going to happen. So anytime they say that they are in control, believe it not, okay? Because we know through the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, America is going to be destroyed, okay? Thus says the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right. Quick precept before I continue on in this article, which is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. Which this is going to come out quite often, right? It's going to come out a lot, all right? 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, but we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, when you go into the word devices, get a quick Google definition. Uh, that seems like the definition I've been finding is they definitely removed it. But anyway, this is a Webster, Merriam-Webster definition. It says something devised or contrived, such as a piece of equipment or a mechanism designed to serve a special purpose or perform a special function. Know that we're not looking for that one. Definition 2, a weapon that explodes. That's a part of it right here. B definition. It says plan, procedure, technique, and that's what we're talking about right here. This is lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices, meaning that we're not ignorant of the devil's plans that they have put in place for such an event to take place. They already have plans on top of a plan to operate when certain things happen. Okay, so that's what it says: plan, procedure, technique. All right, and then definition B2, it says a scheme to devise, a scheme to deceive, Salakia, a scheme to deceive, and that is exactly the whole point right here. Okay, and when you see in this article, you're going to see one of their devices is working and it's at hand. Okay, so I continue reading the article. It says, Sleeper cells have been a long-time concern for the United States, particularly last summer when President Donald Trump was weighing his next move against Iran. In an ABC report this week claimed that U.S. intercepted transmission that could be triggered for a potential sleeper agent. The Atlantic reported communication in Farsi broadcast on a shockwave radio frequency similar to the Cold War era number station portrayed in movies and TV shows. It says, while the news nation has not been able to independently verify those reports, security experts said it is highly likely Iran will attempt to activate sleeper cells in retaliation for the U.S. Israeli strike on the nation. Iran may be activating sleeper cells operation. What we know, Mike Nelson, a retired Special Forces Lieutenant Colonial with extensive experience at U.S. Command, told News Nation on Tuesday that Iran had demonstrated a willingness, if not a good capability, to conduct attack in the U.S. and West for far less. They tried to get a proxy to blow up Cafe Milano in Georgetown just to kill the Saudi ambassador. We just convicted the man they tried to contract to assassinate Donald Trump. He said they assassinated multiple Iranian descendants in Europe in the 80s. If they are truly looking to fight this war, they are unable to do it effectively with their missiles or drone attempting to bring the war to America seems like an likely avenue for them. Okay, so this right here is a lie. If they are truly looking to fight this war, they are unable to do it effectively with their missiles or drones attempting to bring the war to America seems like a likely avenue for them. And this is why this is a lie, because Yahweh Shah said, I would build and I would throw down. Okay, so Yahweh Shah is going to make it to where they're going to be able to attack, whether it be Iran or China or Russia. So let's say to get advantage of us, but we're not ignorant of his devices. And we just read the definition of device, which it goes into plan, and then it says strategy to deceive. Okay. All right. Reading on, it says Nelson cautioned that while Iran may want to activate sleeper cells, it's largely proven to be incompetent. Okay. And let's see what he means by incompetent. He said it's largely improved to be incompetent. Okay. Incompetent refer to lacking the necessary ability, skill, or qualification to perform a task or duty properly. So we just read it, and these devils are lying. Okay, so he said it's largely proven to be incompetent, and don't be fooled by this, right? And so that is that is pretty much the end of the article, right? And so that's neither here nor there. We know that America, we get Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. Because America, matter of fact, before I read that one, let's get Malachi chapter 1. Okay? Because the whole planet, the whole economic structure is controlled and operated by Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. These are the ones that control and operate everything that's going on. All the cause and effect, how your bill's gonna rise, gas prices is rising up. It's controlled and operated by them. Okay, and this is the mindset that the Lord said that they how they were going to think in the last days. Malachi 1:4, and it said, whereas Edom says we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Right, and this is what they're trying to attempt to do, is to rebuild their kingdom. Okay, but let's see what the Lord said. It said, thus said the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. Okay, when you see the Lord of hosts, they're talking about his army. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord, Yahweh Shah, has indignation forever. Okay, and this right here to tell you have indignation forever. Let's get Exodus chapter 17 and basically verse 16. Okay, it says, Because even when you read it, I recommend read the whole chapter, Exodus the 17th chapter, and it's one of the reasons why. We can, but the point being verse 17, but definitely read the whole chapter because in verse 8, because it said, then Amalek and then came Amalek and fought with Israel and Rephidim, and Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out of men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Yahweh in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, and fought with Amalek. Okay, and modern day Amalek are those small hats that are calling themselves Israeli. Okay, and it said Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill, and it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed, and when it let his hand down, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, and one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Yahweh Neshi, okay, which is the name. And then verse 16, he said, for he said, the Lord Yahweh has sworn, the Lord Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Okay, and so that's what, when you go back and you read that Malachi 1 and 4, because this is because those Amalekites are the descendants of Edom. Okay, because it said, whereas Edom says we are impoverished, but we will return and build a desolate places. Thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh had indignation forever. And that tells you who Yahweh shall have indignation, righteous anger against him forever. We just read the history on who Yahweh is talking about, and it's those small hats, those Israelis. Okay? Hence the title of this lesson, Yahweh shall also have sleeper cells. Okay, so while they're talking about sleeper cells here in America, aka Babylon the Great, they really where I would say, in my personal opinion, they'd be worried about the wrong things, because the Lord about to come get them. Yahweh Shah about to come get them. He about to put the spirit on certain men to come and come after these devils. These small houses they got a rude awakening coming. They about to lose their kingdom. Okay, so Yahweh Shah have sleeper cells, and he about to awake them. All right, which he's already awakening them. Okay, because let's get some of the worldly terminology of sleeper cells, okay, just to further prove their point, and then we'll get in more scriptures. All right, so even when you go to the chat real quick, the chat GPT, and I simply asked the question, what are sleeper cells? And it says sleeper cells are individual or small group secretly placed inside a country, organization, or society who live normal lives while waiting, sometimes for years, to be activated for a specific mission. Okay, so yeah, why they saying it's the Iran, but guess who Yahweh Shah have as sleeper cells? And that was the 144,000, the elect men. Okay, those who's going to turn into battle axes. Yeah, so Yahweh Shah got sleeper cells. Okay, because here's the spiritual part right here. It says sleeper cells are individual or small group. Okay, the small group represents the remnant, the 144,000, secretly placed inside a country. All right, so when Yahabachim Yahshua said they shall build and I would throw down, guess who's going to use to throw this place down? Okay? Not only are the missiles gonna come over here and destroy this place, but he's going to raise up men. He's going to give up that standard that's been mentioned in Isaiah 59 and about the 19th verse. And that standard is going to be lifted up because he said when the enemy shall come in like a flood, that's a prophecy that's also being fulfilled because you have ICE agent. The flood represents an army. Guess what? The Lord is calling the Lord is getting ready to lift up that standard because these devils have created ICE agent. What happened when ice get ready to melt, right? So and they come in like a flood. So this is something to think about, man. Yahabachim Yahshua have your sleeper cells in America, aka Babylon and Great. They're getting ready to be active. Through the Spirit, they already been activated. Okay? Because this is how, all right, because when you go down and you get more information in the chat, how they said what a sleeper cell, and he said how sleeper cells work, step by step insertion. Individuals enter or grow up within target society. All right, just like the elect when they've been awakened by this word. Okay, let's get a quick precept. Precept I'm looking for is have been quickened by the word. I believe that's in Hebrew. Yeah, that's Salakia. That's Ephesians chapter 2. Let's get it. Ephesians chapter 2. All right, because when we just got to reading the information about one of the first step of sleeper cells, how the sleeper cells work, which is he said number one is insertion. Individuals enter or grow up within a target society. They may have normal life, family, and social life. So the elect, before they was awakened, before they knew that they was Hebrew Israelite, they would live a normal life. They was living in a normal wicked society called America. Okay, so here's Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 1. And it says, and ye have been, and you, Salakia, you have he quickened who were dead in trespassing in sin, wherein in time past you walk according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Yahweh, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sin, have quickened us together with Hamashiach, with Yahweh Shah Hamashiach. By grace you are saved, and have raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, that in the age to come he might sue the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness towards us through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So this is by his word going back. This is how the sleeper cells have been active. Okay? By this word. So this word is activating us now. So the sleeper cells are getting ready to wake up. Okay? So let's go back to the more information of the sleeper cell where it says the next step in the AI where it says dormant phase, sleeping, they do nothing illegal or noticeable. It said this phase out can last years or decades. Their goal is to avoid detection. Okay. Yeah, that's another precept where it says following the laws of the land. Okay. You know, loosely paraphrasing what Apostle Paul mentioned that. Okay, in verse 3, step number 3 in sleeper cell, how step by step work, and he said they receive instruction from handlers or leadership, communication may be coded or indirected. Okay, so we receive that grace, we receive that instruction, all right, and now we're being awakened, and now we're recognizing who the enemies are. Okay, we put off that old man with that instruction is part of repenting through the Spirit as part of repenting. We put off that old man. Okay, and now we getting those instructions indirectly via the prophet. Okay, quick precept. So when we listen to the prophet, they came and gave us their warning, which is Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 17. It says, "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the words at my mouth and give them warning from me." Okay, this is how we came across this word. This is how we came activated. Okay, reading on. In verse 18, it says, "When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood would I require at thy hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul." Okay? And so this is how the Lord, he getting active. Okay? He getting active. He basically waking us up. So he got sleeper cells too. And number 4, and it says, going back into the chat, how the sleeper cells work. Number 4, and it says mission execution. Activity vary depending on purpose. Espionage, which is going into spying. Espionage, right? And so that's another precept, which is we already kind of read it. Espionage, which is basically going into spy, right? And we just read the precept. "Son of man, I have made thee a watchman," okay, "unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the words in my mouth and give them warning from me." Okay, so that is one of the missions that's being executed, right? So the Lord already activated his sleeper cell, all right, because the watchmen of the house of Israel, we're watching and we're warning our people, okay? And it says sabotage. Sabotage, which is, we're disrupting, and we're disrupting the lie that Esau Edom is being spreading out throughout the world. Okay, which that get 2 Thessalonians. So yeah, this is just a quick lesson, man. It's just like, yeah, man, Yahweh Shem Yahshua got sleeper cells too, man. Okay, so we're sabotaging by applying 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 3. It said, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Okay, we're applying this scripture. We are also applying Ezekiel chapter 35. I'm gonna come back to that before I finish reading that. Let's get to Ezekiel 35. We start at verse 32, verse 2. It says, we start at verse 1. Ezekiel 35 and 1. It says, "Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it." Okay? So we're prophesying and we're sabotaging the message that these devils have spread now, the lie that he said, that he's spreading. Verse 3, "And say unto it, Thus said the Lord Yahweh power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee." So we're not only we're sabotaging, we're telling the Lord is about to destroy your kingdom. "And I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai." And then not only are we declaring that the Lord is going to destroy it, and we telling him why he's going to be destroyed. "Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end." Okay, "Therefore, as I live, said the Lord Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee." You see? And so this is gonna be your fate, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You're small hatted, you Israeli. Okay, let's go back and read this 2 Thessalonians 2 in verse 4. And it says, who opposing and exalt himself above all that is called God. Okay, he's opposing and exalt himself. How he doing that? He put the image, he changed the image of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, the true image, and he put his face on it. Okay, everything he does, he tried to recreate the creations of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay, or that is worshipped so that he's as Yahweh Shem Yahushua, sitting in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. This is who we're talking about. All right, so we're sabotaging the devil operation. All right, by prophesying, going out on the highways and hedges. Okay, going back into this mission and execution of the sleeper cell, and it says cyber operation, propaganda or influence operation. We are, hey, it's a beautiful thing, man. Elder Apostle Zahar, there was a YouTube channel called We Woke Now, and that video is going viral, and now it's being shown because a lot of people in the world believe that Kanye West was the one who spreaded the fact that the true Hebrew Israelites was told by Kanye West. They had the media had people believing that people was that they got their information that the true Hebrew Israelite came about was because of Kanye West. But now the information coming out, where as the scripture says, let's get it. Second Esdras, the 6th chapter, about the 28th verse. Because it says, the truth has been so long without food shall be declared. I believe it's the 28th verse. Let me make sure. Yes, it is. Second Esdras 6 and 28, and it says, after faith it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which has been so long without food shall be declared. Okay, and when you go, and I actually shared it on my community tab, on my post, and now the information is out that Elder Apostle Tahar was the one that planted the seed with Tucker Carlson. Okay, what led him to challenging these Israelis. Okay, you know, because that clip that went viral about Tucker Carlson, that was all first and foremost through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to via his sleeper cells, and one of his sleeper cells through the spirit is Elder Apostle Tahar. He planted seed in Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson watered that seed through different avenues. That seed got watered, and he ended up challenging one of these devils. All right, and that video went viral. So yeah, so the Lord is working on our behalf. He's exposing them. He's about to tear this place down, man. Okay, going back into these sleeper cell information, it says propaganda influence operation, terror attack in the extremist case. Okay, and that's what when it says terror attack in the extremist case, that's when the Lord is gonna wake up those battle actors, man. Okay, He's gonna turn those fishers into hunters. And so we'll end it off right here where we get the precept we read out all the time. In Jeremiah 51 and 20 through verse 23 all the way to 23. All right, we end it here. Okay, so Yahweh Shem Yahushua have sleeper cells, man. We can go on and on about this, man. You know, there's another precept. You know, I'm just gonna quote it. What it says, "Who shall stand up with me against the workers of iniquity?" Okay, and the answer to that question is pretty much in Jeremiah. It's in Psalm and so on and so forth. So this Jeremiah 51 and 20 said, "Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nation, and with thee will I destroy kingdom." You see, and that was the last execution mission, what he called a terror attack. So the Lord about to make his battle act a terror unto America, aka Babylon the Great, aka the Amalekite, okay, the small hat. We're about to be a terror unto them. Okay, Lord willing, we're part of that number. All right. As a matter of fact, the last bit of this information is that they are used because they blend into society easily, avoid intelligent monitoring, already understood local culture and system, can act quickly when activated. You see? So, yeah, Yahweh Shah have sleeper cells in a mix of these devil's kingdom. And we're about to get active in a minute. Okay, we already woke. We already got the information. We just waiting on that order from Yahweh Shah. Matter of fact, it's Zephaniah 3 and 8. Before I went and finished reading this battle act, Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8, and it said, "Therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nation, that I may assemble the kingdom, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy." Yeah, so the sleeper cells is waiting. We waiting. We waiting on that order from Yahweh. Going back to Jeremiah 51 and 20, "Thou art my battle axes and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nation, and with thee will I destroy kingdom, and with thee will I break in pieces the horses and his riders, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and women, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. And I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers." In verse 24, "And I will render unto Babylon, to all the inhabitants of Chaldea, all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, said the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai." So, that's the point right there. The Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai also has sleeper cells. Don't forget that. Lord willing, is that fine? With that, let me give all praise and honor to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Mukakadash. I want to give double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who were well in teaching us the truth 100% securely. Shalom, shalom, Kwam Yashavala, shalom.